What if the way you've been telling your life story reveals the secret to what is holding you back? Stories play an integral part in how we see not only ourselves, but the whole world. Stories are more than just an important part of communication. They also reveal hidden aspects of our inner talk, which can either support us or end up holding us back from the very things we want most in life, without us even realizing it. Join author, mindset coach, and award-winning singer-songwriter Carrie Rowan on her show, Look for the Good, every Monday at 5 a.m. and 5 p.m. when she shares nuggets of wisdom from her internationally best-selling book, Tell a New Story, 5 Simple Steps to Release Your Negative Stories and Bring Joy to Your Life. Carrie's powerful stories and compelling guests will empower you to change how you look at your own life while giving you some powerful tools and tips you can use every day to help you feel better and move yourself closer to the life you've been longing to live.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Look for the Good. I'm your host, Carrie Rowan, mindset strategist and speaker, and I love sharing nuggets of wisdom about the stories that we tell each other, but more importantly, those quiet little stories that we tell ourselves. And you can join me and my special guests as we share our personal stories of strength and triumph every week here on Dream Vision 7 Radio Network. And you can listen online on your mobile device or ask Alexa to play Dream Vision 7 Radio. And tune in every Monday at 5 a.m. and 5 p.m. Eastern to get real stories and tips on how to turn your story and your life around. And evolve with us as we unite humankind with universal love. And I'm so excited to be here with you guys. We have Suzanna waiting in the wings. Hello, Suzanna.
Hi.
It's so fun to be here today. And I love talking about stories. You guys know, and maybe you recognize Suzanna because she has been on my show before. She is a wealth of information. And we're going to tie everything into those stories, right? Because everything we talk about, everything really in life is about these stories that we tell. And we're going to dive into a topic that I think is really, really important today. And especially for a lot of women, I think we struggle sometimes with those subtle things that we forget to pay attention to that can kind of build up into bigger things and really be hard for us. And sleep is one of those issues, hormones, all these things. And what is that little story that you tell yourself about that? Oh, I never sleep, or I don't sleep, or I'm never going to get any sleep. What's that little story that hides inside there? Or what's that story you tell yourself that prevents you from even looking into any solutions for some of our health issues, some of the things that don't feel like it's a crisis, but it's kind of knocking on our door and we sort of ignore it. And I feel like that's for women, it's hormones, it's sleep, it's all these things that, believe it or not, are all related. And we're going to dive into that today. And we're going to dive into a little bit about like, what's that story? What's the most common story? Oh, I'll be fine, or everything's going to, I'm not going to worry about that now. Oh, I'll worry about that later. Whatever that little story that keeps you from taking care of your own health. And we're so readily available to help everybody else and solve their problems that sometimes we forget to take that superpower and turn it right in on ourselves. So we're going to talk a little bit about that today. So important to look at all those stories, the good ones, the bad ones, and the ugly ones. So Suzanna, it's so good to have you back on the show. I just looked up before we went live that the last time you were on the show was March of 2024. Guys, that was really great. Remember that? Episode 60. So it's really, really good to have you back here with us today.
Thank you. It's so great to be here. And I love that introduction because I think that really rings so true for this topic. I have so many women who people I've spoken to since I started looking at this issue 2.5 years ago. And this story a lot of times is around the fact that I just have a racing brain when it comes to sleep. This is just how my brain works. My brain keeps me up at night. I'm a worrier. And the more I dug into this, and doctors have stories too about how this is just what happens to people your age. And the more I dug into it, the more I understood that there were actual physical things at play, chemicals, neurotransmitters that were out of whack, that were causing those synapses to fire in a way that kept someone awake. So your major neurotransmitters in your brain are GABA and glutamate. And GABA is that calming neurotransmitter, and that keeps those synapses from firing. And glutamate is your primary stimulating neurotransmitter, and that causes those synapses to fire. So we know something physical is happening, and something physical has gotten out of whack that is causing what people think of as, I just have a racing brain.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
yeah, it's really interesting, right?
So
Because
interesting.
that's a story that is repeated over and over and over again. And people feel like it's just a private issue they're struggling with. There's something inside of them that causes them to have this issue that maybe other people don't have. And when they hear it's actually a physical problem that is causing their brain to keep going in the middle of the night, sometimes it's in the middle of the night, sometimes it's when they first get in bed. Sometimes people wake up. A lot of what we have worked on is that middle of the night waking period. But yeah, so interesting.
So powerful. I love that. I love what you said too about the one about, oh, this is just what happens to us when we get older. Yeah,
Yeah,
no, we don't not sleep. We need to sleep. It was designed for our rest and digest and our healing time. So if we're not getting that, then everything else that's sort of off is just exacerbated by not sleeping, right?
it is.
So, and we've been fed all that. Oh, especially as women, we've been fed that, you know, just like we've been fed to learn how to just accept that and just be okay with it and carry on anyways, because that's what we do. Carry on with those 50,000 multiple things that you do every day without even thinking. But when do we stop, right? When do we stop and take a look at what's going on with our health? And I love your story. So, as you guys know, if you had been on listening to the show before, that Suzanna is the founder and creator of Totem Voss Collagen Shoes, which we talk a lot about. And we're going to talk about some solutions that are there that people might not even be aware of. And I love that you're a researcher. I'm a super love to geek out on all the neuroscience stuff. I know you like that too. So you talked about those chemicals, like how can they get so out of whack? Like I love GABA. Like I always have a GABA, I'm always thinking like ways to calm that down. And all those stories you said reminded me of what people also say about meditation. Those very same things, right? My mind is too busy. My mind is too racy. It's all that same thing. But it's, again, just like you said, you're not alone. We all are wired like this and we can all get amped up. So what do we do about it? How do we unamp ourselves and get more of
Such a
that GABA?
Yeah, it's such a great question. So I would say our original three flavors was really created out of a need that my mom had, where she was experiencing some pretty severe bone loss. And I read a study on collagen and how it can support bone density, and those chews were born out of that. And I would say that this latest chew, our night chew that we just came out with a couple months ago, is really born out of my own um, sort of night waking experience that I had. So we moved to New Hampshire about 10 years ago. It'll be 11 years ago this summer. And I had just turned 40 when we moved here. And I had never before experienced night waking. That experience of I fall asleep and then around say 1 to 3 or 2 to 4, I have this experience of not just getting up and going to the bathroom, but being awake, feeling awake. And what was going on? Why was I feeling awake? And realizing as I went along that what had happened is I kind of think of those major neurotransmitters as bricks, and that my scale, so if we're looking at like an old time medical scale, had gotten out of balance and there was a brick on one side. And as much as I could try to put little marbles, it wasn't going to counterbalance the brick.
Mm.
Um, that something major had gotten out of whack. And for a lot of women, and I think this is exactly what was happening with me, as they're starting perimenopause, and it can start, in our 30s, they start to see a drop in progesterone. And that progesterone is a precursor to GABA. So it's true, that's exactly what's happening. Those bricks are getting out of whack. And we want both sides, right? We want the GABA, we want that calming neurotransmitter to be in place. And we also want the glutamate. We want to feel stimulated at the right time of day. And actually, the two are interrelated. Like one is made out of the other. So our bodies need them both. We just need them to show up when they're supposed to show up.
And not at
And
3 a.m.
yeah, not at 3 a.m. And what would happen to me is I would wake up and then eventually I would fall back to sleep. And it was now time to wake up. I have 4 children. It was time to wake up. And that depressive, the GABA that I hadn't experienced in the night would finally show up. And the glutamate that I needed to come online wasn't there. So I'm very tired. So I'm reaching for coffee. So many of us do this. I'm reaching for coffee. I'm reaching for coffee probably too early. So there's another another chemical called adenosine, and we want the adenosine it kind of stimulates sleepiness, and we want it to rise a little bit before we block it with coffee. So we don't want to drink coffee straight out of a bed. We want to wait 60 to 90 minutes to drink that coffee so it can block more of that. And there's a lot of people doing work around this anymore. And I think it's really important. But for me, it was like, how can I, go about my day and function? And I think the message that a lot of doctors are conveying is this is just a minor blip and it will get better. But for some women, it's not a minor blip. It's a very severe issue. One of the participants in our sleep study that we conducted to create this product was getting 3 to 4 hours of sleep a night. And it was torturous. She's hardly functioning. So there are women that it's massively affecting. Men are also can sometimes have these problems. But as we had talked about before, women have this dramatic drop off in hormones that a lot of men don't experience. And that dramatic drop off turns everything very quickly. And I really believe that modern lifestyles are not supporting our circadian rhythms as well. So there's more stressors on top of, what has always happened. And there's more things that sort of have an effect on our circadian rhythms. So we know that seeing morning light, getting morning light in our eyes, not staring at the sun, but getting that morning red light in our eyes does 2 things. It sets our circadian clock for the day and tells our bodies to turns off melatonin, first of all. So melatonin and cortisol are another one of those 2 of those things that are on this another 2 bricks that are really important. So when melatonin is high, cortisol is low. When cortisol is high, melatonin is low. So yeah, so that's a lot of what I was experiencing was high cortisol.
Yeah. Super common.
Right. So we want those things in their place. We're not demonizing those stimulatory compounds or neurotransmitters. We just want them at the right time, and we want them to fade, and we want those calming ones to take over when they're supposed to.
Exactly, because we need cortisol. When you do that little, the saliva test, they want to see what's your cortisol in the morning, because if that's not rising, right, that's indicative of something else. You want that to rise because that's what gets you out of bed. It gets you going. But you don't want it 24/7, and you don't want it, at 10 o'clock. Oh, and by the way, something you mentioned is another kind of light, this blue light, which really messes us up.
It really messes us up. So the blue light communicates to our eyes. So our eyes are really the window for our circadian clock, which is so interesting. So if you look at the rainbow, I used to teach kindergarten a long time ago, and it's Roy G. Biv. So red light is at the top, right? That's the longest light. So that's the light we see at the beginning and at the end of the day, sunrise and sunset. We get those red light rays. And then the shortest light is that blue indigo light. So that's on the very inside of the rainbow.
Yes.
So that light communicates to our brains that we're in the middle of the day, that we're supposed to be alert and awake. It is the middle of the day. Wow. So when we look at our phone is telling us, be alert, be awake. It's the middle of the day. So even when we're starting our day, looking at our phone without easing into that red light, it's like it's a shock. And I mean, I think a lot of us reach for it intuitively because it wakes us up.
That's so interesting. Yeah,
So it's a dopamine hit because we're scrolling, but it also wakes us up. And sometimes we're doing the same thing at the end of the day.
that's the
So,
problem.
yeah. So for
Or
me,
in
the most,
bed.
right, in bed,
For the kids, the younger ones are like, the second they wake up, the second they go to
right,
bed, right? I'm like, yeah, that
right,
is it's
right.
so interesting. And I don't think people are aware of that, right? I love the way you described it with the rainbow.
Yes. So, I mean, there's daylight computers that are coming out, but a lot of this is one of these toxic aspects of modern life that we kind of have to figure out how to manage a little bit better. I mean, I think the most important aspect of this is getting that morning light in your eyes. There's a little bit of it that is blocked by windows. So it's really good to get outside and get it in
Mm,
your eyes to set your clock, for your
yes.
body's clock for the day. So
Yes.
what you're doing is you're saying to your body, 14 hours from now, start making melatonin. There's
Mm,
specialized cells in your retina that are doing that for you. So this
wow.
isn't just psychological. I mean, I say just psychological. It's all working together.
I love
um,
that. Specialized cells. And it says 14 hours. So that's important too, the 14-hour thing that it's telling it, right? So that's really,
right.
really powerful.
So yes, and I live in New Hampshire. You live in the Northeast too. It's not. It's a little bit challenging to get out in the morning, and I don't. There are people that recommend people wake up for the sunrise. My recommendation is just get out after you wake up and see morning light as soon as you can.
Yeah, I love that.
So I sit on my back stoop. The sun comes over this hill. I'm experiencing the sun setting the day. So many people that are experiencing that cortisol release at night, like in the evening,
Hmm.
they'll say, I'm just a night owl.
Yeah.
And and my response to that is no, your circadian rhythm is not on
Yeah.
on
Yes.
track the way it needs to be. Um, And so that tired all day, the energy of a thousand suns at night. And I know a lot of people who experience this. That is that there's nothing wrong with you. And I would even say you're not probably inherently a night owl. This is just your body's clock that's doing its thing.
Yeah. Yeah. But the good news is we can fix that clock. We can move the hands. We can retrain the clock. We're not going to change those special things in our retina that are looking for that, but we can work with that. So,
Absolutely.
right? Like it's like teaching people how to do that, how to work with that because they don't I mean, think we know, but we really don't know the intricacies. Like, what's the first thing somebody should do? When they realize or they hear themselves telling the story, "Oh, I'm just a night owl. My mom was a night owl, and her mom was a night owl." It becomes this thing.
Right. So I think the most important thing is getting that morning light in their eyes. And then, of course, I would say ideally a couple hours before bed, but at the minimum, an hour before bed. If you can put on red light glasses, if you can switch your phone over, depending on the make and model of your phone, so that you're only seeing things in red and you're blocking the blue light from your phone.
Mm, yeah.
I put red light um, bulbs in places where I know I'm going to end up at night. So if I'm
Mm.
taking a shower, I put red light in the shower and I can just be in red light,
Ooh, I like that.
or a lamp in a bedroom, just have red light. So there's still some light around. I live with a lot of other people. So
Yeah, you do.
somebody's going to want to be watching TV. You could always have the red light glasses and still watch TV and be with others.
I
I
like that.
think that morning light is the most important
It's the
thing.
most important thing. Okay, that people can be
Mhm.
aware of because when they're trying to reset that, they think they're a night owl, but really their circadian rhythm is just all messed up. Um, so I love that you discovered this. You mentioned the story about your mom and solving her osteoporosis issues. And So I know how good those are because I take them every single day. And they're not only great for you, they're delicious. And I never worry about that. That's just like one thing off my plate. I never think to myself, oh, bone density, this or that. And so I know people want to not worry about sleep. They just want to not worry about it. Um, so it sounds like all these signs, and also it's usually like you said, it's that cascading, downward cascading effect of the hormones and how related those two things are. So how does your chew, what is that targeting? How does that help somebody, restructure their circadian rhythm and get that sleep that they're just so desperate for?
So I would say it doesn't help you change your circadian rhythm. You are going to do that in these other ways. But what
Yes.
it does do, and I do see it as a rescue product for people who are in a really bad cycle, or maybe they are experiencing a lot of external stress. Maybe they have to get up early. I think so many of these, like the stories where if I have something big happening the next day, of course I'm not going to sleep well. No, what that suggests to me, and this is where the marbles come in. So we talked about bricks. If your scale is off and you are tilting in one direction, you're easily overstimulated. So
Mm.
any little thing that you put on the scale is going to easily take it into the overstimulated direction because you're
Oh, yeah.
already sort of like bent in that way a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
So this product contains GABA, a selection of herbs, quite a few fruit powders and tart cherry concentrate, along with collagen. So it's a collagen chew as well. Collagen contains a number of amino acids. The About a third of collagen is made of glycine, and glycine is a calming amino acid. Um, so the GABA doesn't, in a lot of people, it doesn't cross the blood-brain barrier. There are other receptors in our gut, but there's an amino acid in collagen called arginine, and arginine makes the GABA about twice as likely to cross the blood-brain barrier as just GABA alone.
That's interesting. Wow.
So there's passion flower in the chew. There's other things that are supporting your GABA systems. Um, I just had a consultation with a naturopathic doctor last week, and her recommendation would, when she looked at the ingredients of the chew, would be to titrate the chew. So start with a quarter. She even suggested a quarter or a half, and see how it does for you, and
Wow.
then move up to a whole if you find that's what you need. But what you're really looking to do is to kind of provide a rescue for that GABA system and to bring it back up. I don't recommend people take it every night.
Oh,
I
okay.
recommend, even if somebody has a really significant sleep issue, I recommend they only take it 3 to 4 nights a week.
Mm-hmm.
And it does have, because it has more different sorts of therapeutic ingredients than our other chews, there are people that it's not recommended for. And the naturopathic doctor was specifically mentioning people who are on SSRIs
Mm-hmm.
and MAO inhibitors,
Yep.
that's something they should talk to their doctor about
Yeah,
to see
absolutely.
how this product should work with those other pharmaceuticals or whatever they're
Yeah.
taking.
Yeah, that makes sense. You're not supposed to do GABA with those. Hey, hold tight, everybody. We're going to be right back. I know you're hanging on to Susanna's every word. We'll be right back. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Look for the Good. We are having this incredible conversation with Suzanna about her totem Voss chews and sleeping and hormones. And it's just, there's so much goodness in here. We were talking a little bit about, readjusting that circadian rhythm and what does it take to do that? And she gave us some great tips there. So talk about, I know a lot of people who struggle here. And it creates a feeling of desperation, like you're desperate to get some sleep, and then that starts being anti-sleep. Break that down. Like when people are so desperate, what do they do? Like where do they go? Like how, what do you recommend for how this could help them?
Yeah, so I definitely see this as a sleep rescue um, product. And we're recommending on the bag 3 to 4, no more than 3 to 4 a week. If somebody had a really specific issue where they were in some sort of deep hole and needed to take it more at the beginning, and then this naturopathic doctor also talked about titrating down off of it. So anything your body makes, you don't want to have your body stop making it. If you're trying to bring GABA levels up, you don't want to over supplement GABA and then have your body stop making GABA, right? We want our body to be doing what it needs to be doing. So that's a little bit of a tricky issue. But I also think when you're in this situation and you're just not sleeping, I think getting yourself back to where you're sleeping well is such a great place to start.
Totally.
Yes. And I don't feel like this is a lot of times appreciated enough by people who are making health recommendations to people, that there are people that are in just desperate holes. And I have such a heart for those people, because I think it's really hard to make good decisions
It's
when
so
you're in a
true.
desperate place. Yeah, it's hard to make good decisions.
Yeah.
So this is like, we want to get you on a track of making better decisions for your sleep. So maybe this is a great place to start when it comes to even changing your habits. Like, I don't wake up well. Like, I used to be called like a deer in headlights. Somebody actually said to me that to me once, you wake up like a deer in headlights.
Really?
Yeah, like you don't really talk to anybody. You're not really alert for a long, long time, you
That's
know.
so interesting. Yeah.
So how do you fix that? And I think that these are longer term sort of like problems that need longer term solutions,
Totally.
um, to switch this whole system over. But you can also like, I think this is a great place to start. The shoes are a great place to start for people that have, and I think the best way to identify, do I have a GABA glutamate imbalance, is, am I waking up in the middle of the night? Am I waking up to be awake and I don't feel tired any longer? And the tiredness doesn't kick back in for a few hours. Also, if that happens to you, don't get on a device if you can possibly help it. Sometimes, like, maybe we need to listen to something, and I think that's okay without looking at the device. Some people even think Wi-Fi is affecting us negatively. And other things that are coming from our phones are affecting us negatively. But I think it's, don't be on your phone, because that's saying blue light, middle of the day, wake up.
Mm-hmm.
But there are other supplements that support this balance. And I'll just run through a few of them. And like I said before, when this system is off and you're tilted in the overstimulated direction, a lot of things will be more stimulatory to you than they are to the average person. So sometimes, like B vitamins, vitamin C at night is going to like kind of feed your adrenals. It can get your adrenals going if you're struggling with that. So a lot of the things that I saw major health influencers recommending, like this works for everyone, didn't work for this group. And we know because we tried it. We tried it for 2.5 years with a number of volunteers. So things like inositol, that's very recommended. I am absolutely a fan of magnesium, but there's some forms of magnesium that can even start the brain on a stimulatory pattern if someone's taking it at night. Even glycine, which is supposed to help people relax, there are certain people who find it to be stimulatory.
That's so interesting. Yeah.
So, but these are the supplements that I would recommend are like vitamin D in the morning. It can help lower your glutamate. Vitamin B6, which is in the chews, is essential for the synthesis of GABA from glutamate. Magnesium, such a fan. Most of us are low in it because our soil has been magnesium depleted for a little while now. Zinc is a mineral that
zinc. Yes. What kind of magnesium are you recommending in the morning?
I take magnesium glycinate or magnesium taurate. So when you're taking a magnesium with like glycinate, it's mostly glycinate that you're getting from the magnesium. So people that are finding glycinate stimulating, they should be taking that in the morning.
Because you're always told to take the glycinate at night. I know my daughter takes 2 of those at night because that's what somebody told her to calm.
Right. And I think for a lot of people it works.
Yeah.
But for people that have other kinds of issues, and a lot of this is very dependent on specific physiology,
Yeah.
the specific physiology of your body. Um, I think it's better to, you know, if you're having a hard time with that, take it in the morning to make sure that you don't have those issues. Um, Omega-3 fatty acids help lower glutamate. NAC supports detox pathways. I take taurine and L-theanine in my coffee. So taurine helps
Ooh.
with neurotransmitter balance. L-theanine increases GABA and reduces glutamate.
Wow.
Yeah, and even those things, which a lot of people think as helping with sleep,
Right.
caused some of the sleep study volunteers issues.
Really?
So,
That's
y-
interesting.
yes. And some people recommend 5-HTP.
Yep.
That converts to serotonin, which has some questionable issues around it, questionable benefits. And various herbs can work in multiple ways on this system. Which is why we did all of the sort of like experimentation. So we would try out a new ingredient and then we would get feedback from our volunteers because we were really just interested in all of our volunteers were in their mid 40s to maybe mid 70s. And we're really just interested in how this affects this exact group, this demographic.
Yeah.
There's a lot of paradoxical effects that can come up. So paradoxical effects would be like it's supposed to work, but it didn't.
Mm,
Or it had the opposite effect of what someone was thinking it would have.
that's so
Um,
interesting. Yeah.
yeah, so that was why it took so long to develop it because so many things that are said, this is a guarantee, this 100% works, didn't work for this group.
Wow. I love that. You were very specific with your demographic, which is why I'm taking it.
Yeah.
And it's like, when do you ever really have a product like that? Like, I feel like you just get this big blanket statement a lot of times, like you said on the also if you're scrolling through Instagram, and I like to follow all the health people, and then you start hearing you need to do this and that, and then but you really don't know it because our genetic makeups are different. So I love that you studied on what's going on with the hormones because that's a big piece for women at that time in our lives and how this is going to help. I love that you did all that research. That's really powerful.
Thank you. And of course, it doesn't contain hormones. We and
Yeah.
we're big fans of hormones, but we think you should be taking what's right for you.
That's
We
on you're
love
on your
them.
own with that.
Yes. And I highly recommend you going to see someone or getting support in that area because I
Yeah.
think that's super important.
I think so too, and I think even emotionally, like, it is so hard, like, that's a reason that they use it for torture, is sleep deprivation, right? It does weird
Right.
stuff to your brain, so I think getting all sorts of not just health, but maybe emotionally too, to support that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And you know, when I would hear people's stories who were struggling with this, it's like people were really sidelined. And the thing is, we need people in this age group to not be sidelined. We need their wisdom, we need their contributions.
Yeah.
And that was really what drove the study. And even when there was, a lot of ups and downs and things that I thought would work didn't work, that was what allowed us to keep going. Is
Yeah.
like we do not want people in this group to be sidelined, and I think there's such a sort of a narrative with doctors, like, okay, it's bad, but it's not that bad, and sometimes it is that bad. It's
Yeah.
so bad.
Right.
So
You can't
right,
diminish that, right? And I think so many
right,
people are going to resonate with that because they have been told by doctors, well, just all those things we said before. It's just part of aging. It's part of this. It's part of when you lose your hormones, blah, 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 which doesn't have to be true. I love
yes,
that, not sidelighting people. Yeah, because we do. We need, there's so much contribution. That's where all the great insights and the wisdom and the
yeah,
books and the people helping other people and supporting other people. And that's huge.
right. And I've talked to women in this age range who are saying, I don't write anymore because I can't come up with the words. And this isn't just, you know, your memory is going. This is like sleep related, like memory issues.
Mm, so
Yeah.
true.
So
Yeah.
yeah. And I don't think that that's emphasized enough. That so many of the issues that people say, like the fog and all the other things that people are struggling with, are related to not sufficient sleep, not good sleep. So that's a lot. A lot of times when people start taking this product, they talk about I started to experience more dreams.
Wow.
Um, and when I was talking to the naturopathic doctor last week, she said it's kind of like the reception has gone up in the brain, so you're remembering dreams because your receptors. So you might be getting more REM. Your receptors are sharpened, so
Mm.
you're more likely to remember dreams. And that non-dream sleep, that was my experience for many years. I wasn't dreaming.
Wow.
And I think that's a little issue of concern when we're not dreaming. That means, or we're not remembering the dream. Um, yeah.
That's totally
I,
yes, it's a and again, we think it's just, "Oh, I haven't been sleeping," but you're bringing up so many good points, and then we get in cars and we drive, like, you don't realize the impact that it has on you. You're not as sharp, you're not as quick-witted when you haven't been sleeping. Now you're driving, now you're doing this, now you're trying to carry on, and it's not your fault, but these are things that we don't even really think about and how much better it could be. I feel like that's the piece that we miss. We forget how far off the mark we got, right? Until we start feeling a
right.
little better.
Right. And I don't want, there are people that have sleep anxiety. And I say all of this not to like heighten sleep anxiety around not getting enough. I
Mhm.
say all of this as like, how can we improve this
Yeah.
instead of like, how can we fix this and this never bother us again? How can we improve this in a way that we are enjoying our lives more, functioning better, giving more to others,
Yeah.
doing better work?
Yes,
Yeah.
and I love that, and strengthening our brains. This is a time when we should be thinking about what are we doing to strengthen our brains and not accepting all those old stories we have in our head that somebody else gave us. What can we do? And this is the biggest thing you can do. It's 80% of our mental health is our sleep.
Yes. Yeah. Such a big deal.
Yep.
Such a big deal.
Yep.
And, you know, I even for a period of time took magnesium chloride. I would have it in water in my fridge. And I have somebody that has helped support this chew development has said how much of a difference this made for him when it comes to his mental health, just taking magnesium chloride. Yeah. So supporting these systems, I mean, yeah, I think, we tend to vacillate between these psychological and physiological models. And of course they're integrated. Of course. We're all one thing. Of
Yeah.
course.
Of course. Of course. I love that. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. We're having this amazing conversation with Susanna. Hold tight. We'll be right back on Look for the Good. Welcome back to Look for the Good, everybody. This conversation is so good. I feel like it is so needed by many, many people. And Susanna, I love what we were talking about, like treating the whole person. Like, of course, it's the whole person. Of course, it's mind, body, spirit. And sleep, we just, I think, sometimes get used to not sleeping. So we forget how important it is. We talked about getting so out of balance that you forget how good it feels to have a good night's sleep. So, talk a little bit more about. You were just telling me a little stat too, another little stat that I loved, or a little trick that people can do to help before they go to bed, to even start planning that at dinner time. What little tip did you want to share on that?
Well, the naturopathic doctor that I had a consultation with just recommended eating protein. Make sure you're getting enough protein at your evening meal to create those compounds that the brain needs. Because those proteins going to be the building block for those neurotransmitters. So making sure that works. It's so interesting because so many of the popular narratives around what to do for this are like things like cool room, darkness, not eating before bed. And then this is a product that we're recommending taking an hour or two before bed. So
Right?
that's a little bit paradoxical. Um, but we're really looking at these people with major imbalances. And we think that's probably a pretty good recommendation. But for people that are having that cortisol melatonin imbalance,
Mm,
there is about 6 grams of coconut sugar in this product. Our other chews are sugar free. And
mhm.
that coconut sugar is there for a therapeutic purpose. It's there to help lower that cortisol throughout the night so that the melatonin can be high. So
Ooh.
we understand that recommendation of not eating before bed.
Mm-hmm.
But we have talked to a number of people who have said, I try not to eat before bed and I had a big meal and then I slept really well. So when we have people that have this particular imbalance, sometimes healthy carbs, good protein can be the
Mm-hmm.
right thing that helps them with correcting that imbalance. And we also know that a lot of sleep things are self-perpetuating. So
Yeah.
when people are sleeping bad one night, they're more likely to sleep bad the next night. And when they have a good night's sleep, they're more likely to have a good night's sleep the next night. So what we're looking for is that healthy pattern, establishing that healthy pattern.
Yeah,
Um,
that's tricky. And I think it's also, you mentioned sleep anxiety, and I remember getting stuck in this cycle, a Sunday night. We call them the Sunday night scaries, right? You got work the next day, you got all these things, and so your mind starts going beep beep beep, and then your anxiety is super high, and now you're not sleeping, and it's like this self fulfilling prophecy, like you said before, self perpetuating. How do you break the cycle?
yeah, I think using the chew strategically for those nights that we know we tend to have more anxiety that
Mm-hmm.
night, or we're tending to, our mind tends to race on those nights. So I have a friend here who works from home 3 days a week, but then travels to Boston twice a week. And she's taking the choose for those days that she's going to get up early to beat the traffic to go all the way into Boston for her job. And that helps her to be able to have that calm brain. So many things that are typically recommended for sleep issues. So pharmaceuticals that are sedatives,
Mm.
those sedatives, sedation is fundamentally different from sleep. And we know people that take CBD and people that don't want to take CBD, but sometimes that can even be what that's putting you in isn't necessarily the kind of sleep patterns that you want. So we want sleep patterns that are promoting sleep, not sedation, because when we
Mm.
have those, we're waking up without that sedation hangover that we took
Yes.
something to help us, but now we're really struggling to come out of that,
Mm.
sedation,
The fog. Yeah.
heaviness.
Yeah. Totally.
Yeah. And
So,
that's something we've heard from people who are taking this, that they're waking up well, which is exactly what we
mm,
want.
I love the waking up well. Talk to me a little bit about, because people are so into, like, I've got your little paper here. People are so
Mhm.
into melatonin, right? Like, and I think it's a little controversial. Talk a little bit about, supplementing like a spray or whatever with melatonin. What are your thoughts on that?
So I think melatonin is such an interesting compound. It's another one of those things that's made by our bodies that we don't necessarily want to over supplement because we want our bodies to be making it.
Right.
So there is natural melatonin in these fruit powders. So you've heard of the mocktail, the sleep mocktail. That's
Yes.
magnesium and tart cherry juice.
Yes.
And
Yes.
that's because
Yes.
there's natural melatonin in that tart cherry juice. It's not
Oh.
it's not a high level of melatonin. And taking these low levels of melatonin can be a small signal without getting our body not making its own. I think high
Mm.
dose melatonin has its place for mitochondrial health. But I think when it comes to sleep issues, and I think that's sort of a different topic, when
Yeah.
it comes to sleep issues, it's great to not have something that you're changing up your own physiology, which is becoming dependent on some sort of product to substitute what your body should be doing on its own. We want to
Okay.
encourage your body to do what it needs to do. We want to encourage your body to rebalance that scale on its own.
Yeah. And I love that. That's why there's small doses of everything in here.
Right,
Just right, just enough to trigger, to remind the body, to get the body to produce it on its own, which is like really the most beautiful way to do it. You just,
right,
right, you're triggering the body to say, hey, here's a little bit of melatonin. We need a little bit more. Um,
right. And I
Brilliant.
would say that there is more GABA in the product than there is like quite a bit more GABA than there is melatonin.
Mm-hmm.
And it still would be low level for a supplement, a supplemental GABA that you're taking. It would still be low level GABA and passion fruit.
Mm-hmm.
But it's in those supplemental ranges. So it's great to treat it like a supplement because it is a lot like a supplement. So that titrating up and titrating down. So if you're finding that you had to take it for a week or two to kind of
Mm-hmm.
reset yourself, it'd be great to then start taking a half and then start skipping nights and asking your own system to do that work, bringing your own system into alignment. Yeah, and having it around, it's so interesting because to have a sleep rescue around that you know works for you, it also helps with sleep anxiety. If I need this, I
Yes.
can take this and it's
Yes.
going to help me. It's going to support me. And I think that's like a wonderful kind of trick.
It's empowering. You don't
Yeah.
feel like, what if you're away or you're in a hotel room? Because I don't know, usually sleep good in the first night or whatever. Like, it's empowering. Like, hey, I'm okay. I've got my chew.
Yeah,
You know,
absolutely.
I
And if
like
I'm
that.
feeling really tired at night and not feeling like I'll need it,
Hmm.
then I don't need to take it.
Right.
I, yeah, I'm not trying to sell as many of these as I can. I'm really trying to get people on a path that brings
Yes.
them into sort of a day and a life that's working better for them.
Yeah. Well, I know you and I know your products and I know the quality and I know that there's so much heart put into everything that you do. And the reasons, the big why for you is to, like, just like you said, is to support people and help people live a better life. Right. I mean, and the fact that it's derived out of starting to help from your mother, which is where the whole two came from, is the most beautiful story. And there are so many people that struggle with this. And a lot of times I don't think they talk about it.
Right. Yeah, it's sort of a private struggle, maybe with a few of their closest friends. But a lot
Hmm.
of times they're going about their day over caffeinating. You
Yeah.
know, that
Yeah.
that caffeine has a quarter life at 10 to 14 hours. So like I'm
Yeah.
even recommending people not be drinking it after that, 60 minutes after waking up or 90 minutes at waking up, having a cup of coffee if that's your routine, and then letting it go. And it's funny because I have a small little hospital in my town and they did get a sleep doctor in. And I was at the gym recently with him and I said, what's the number one thing you would recommend? And he said, going off coffee.
Really?
But I do think there's absolutely tricks to staying with coffee and using coffee strategically.
Yep.
And then, I watch my friends who are having that afternoon cup of coffee and I'm like, you're going to still have caffeine circulating when it's bedtime.
I know, right? And I'm not even a coffee drinker. I've never been a coffee drinker. I don't know why. I just don't like it. But I'm a tea drinker. But tea has so much less caffeine. I could
Yes,
have a
it
cup of,
does.
right? I could have a cup of green tea and feel like I was getting all of my other goodness in it, without a lot
Right.
of caffeine.
Right.
Um,
And you're getting that L-theanine in it too,
with the
which is
green
great.
tea. Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. Exactly.
So good.
So I love that we're bringing this private struggle out into the open so we can help more people, right? So that they can feel better because we didn't dive down that pathway, but there are so many things that go wrong, all starting with a lack of sleep. We talked a little bit about that. So when you can turn that around, I think that we forget how good that we used to feel when we used to sleep well and not even think about it. So um, the sleep like a baby thing is just a misnomer too, because babies wake up every 2 hours. So crying.
One of my people that tried this said she sent me a text that said I slept like a teenager. And then I have another friend who said I slept like a husband, which was hilarious too.
Without a care in the world. That's awesome. I want to sleep like a teenager. Oh my gosh, they sleep forever and ever, and then they still need more sleep. I don't know how they do it.
Yes, yes.
So I love it. This has been an amazing conversation. So tell us where they can find you, where they can find you too, and find out more about you because you are fascinating and a wealth
Oh,
of
thank you.
information.
So you can find us on social media. We're on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. And you can find our website at getchoose.com. Some people think I'm saying shoes, but of course I'm saying
Because
choose.
all of us women go, shoes, get shoes. I can get shoes. Get
Or
shoes.
get
CHEWS.
choose. Yeah,
We
yeah.
love to spell here on the radio.
Perfect.
Awesome. Well, that is so, I love what you've done. I have to thank you so much for creating this And your other two, as a matter of fact, I was telling my husband about it. I'm like, yeah, Susanna's coming on my show, telling her, because he sees me, because now all of a sudden somebody told him to take some collagen. And I was like, but you can't have my juice. And so
Awesome.
he's like, I should have some for his mom. So now we're gonna get the mother-in-law and the chews too. So I can speak from personal experience that you guys cannot go wrong with this amazing product if you want to change your life and sleep better. So that's the question, right? So thank you so much for coming on and sharing your depth of wisdom with us here today. It's been really amazing having you on Look for the Good.
Thank you, Carrie. It's always such a pleasure to talk to you.
So good to see you. And yeah, we both go to the Natural Living Expo. So you can see both of us there in November. I can't believe we're talking about that already, but somehow it
Yeah.
always sneaks up, doesn't it?
Yes. It's the time of year too where everything is happening, and then it's Christmas and the end of the year, and
Right?
yeah.
So crazy, but we love that. And so we'll be there.
Yeah.
So thank you, Susanna. And thank you for all you do to support everybody and help them with these sleep problems and all the other stuff that you do. It's beautiful. So thank you. Have a wonderful day.
Thank you, Carrie.
You're
Bye.
s- you're so welcome. And remember, everybody, it is never too late to live your best story. And if you want to hear all the behind the scenes action about my show and all the stuff that Susanna talked about and I talked about before, go to carrierowan.com, click on the podcast, and sign up for my email newsletter. So thank you, everybody. Be well.
Thanks for tuning in to Look for the Good with your host, Carrie Rowan, best-selling author and mindset coach. Join us every Monday at 5 a.m. and 5 p.m. right here at Dream Vision 7 Radio Network. If you weren't able to catch an episode, no worries. Just visit our website to find all the archived episodes of Look for the Good on demand, so you don't miss a thing. And remember, it's never too late to live your best story. For additional resources or to find out about how you can work with Carrie directly, visit carrierowan.com for more details.